To have a conversation about e-learning penetration in Nigeria, we're now being joined by two guests. Via Zoom from Ibadan, we have Nkiru Balogu. She is a consultant in e-learning, and in the studio we have a gentleman with us. And of course, we'd have to say thank you so much for joining us. And let's have a conversation. I want to start with you, Nkiru. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, 13.5 million out-of-school children, but due to the lockdown, that number has now gone up from what we have gathered, 18.5 million out-of-school children. Talk to us about how e-learning can actually be used to reach out to these children who need to be educated.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is actually Nkiru Banjoko, not Balogun. And I quite appreciate this program that is going to throw a lot of more light on what e-learning can do for us in Nigeria. Yes, it is achievable. If we're only looking at the technologies that people need to have or the challenges, then we will say it is not achievable. It is definitely achievable. You know, right now, if you go all over the country, you find out that there are places where you have computers, you have mobile phones. So people do have the technology. And even if we think that the challenges are overwhelming, it's not as overwhelming as it actually is. Yes, we have quite a lot of children that are currently out of school due to the COVID-19. And the paramount issue that that government has to face, right now is how do we bring them back to school? It is possible for us to do that, considering the fact that even government is making great strides to establish what is called smart schools. And this smart school was provided with computers, and children also be given tablets with which they can access content both online and offline, and teachers too will be prepared to do that. So I say that it is possible. All the advanced countries started from somewhere, and if they started and are able to get to where they are right now, I believe that we also can. And parents can actually make an impact right now, because your mobile phone itself can be a school on its own if you use it, properly. And in many homes, right now you have the laptop, you have desktops, and you have all of the means through which students can access content. So it is possible for us to achieve it. It's just the will that we need. But that if it's the content or the technology or the skills, we definitely can achieve it. Thank you.
Very much Nkiru there. Now let's back to the studios. Let's speak with Martin Harry, who is the principal of the Canadian Bridge Academy. The challenges here are enormous, as highlighted by Nkiru. Martin, do you think that the challenges are overwhelming for Nigerian educational system, that it cannot incorporate e-learning fully in its educational drive?
Well, I mean, today we're in the 21st century. Technology is everywhere. Even on your smartphone, you have Google. It doesn't matter what country in the world you're in, people have access to the internet. But, there's a saying, like on Google, garbage in and garbage out. So it's more than just having a solution for technology. And like at Canadian Bridge Academy, we have a process called blended learning. So blended learning, our students have access to a learning management system where the actual curriculum, the content itself, is the same as what a Canadian school would get. Now, quality is everything. So on top of that, having access to quality information, you need quality teaching and learning. So what goes on inside of the classroom, in my opinion, is more important than the technology. You can have the greatest technology in the world, but if you don't know what you're using, you don't know how to use it, and you don't have the proper content and the right teachers and the right technology and the right 21st century skills, you're going nowhere.
Yeah, okay.
I like the fact that you've talked about having the right teachers, because some of the challenges that some educators will talk about, and Kira, let me throw this question to you, is the fact that some of the teachers themselves don't even know how to effectively use a computer. So how can they really, educate the students using a system which is almost alien to them?
Yes, I agree that that could be quite a struggle. But even right now, the federal government has been training teachers. If you ask from many teachers, especially those in public schools, TRCN has gone around almost all the states, in training teachers on how to use computers to teach. So basically, that was a challenge like about 2 years ago. Right, almost every state is involved or engaged in training teachers on digital literacy and how to prepare content for either online or remote learning. So it's something that we can actually overcome. I don't think it's such a big deal. It's only a big deal if people are not willing to learn. But here you have teachers are willing to learn and learn online about how to integrate ICT into their classroom activities.
Right.
Well, that's great. I mean, that the Teachers Registration Council and maybe the National Teachers Institute are both collaborating to help in that continuous education of the teachers, the trainers themselves. Train the trainers, Let me come to you again, Martin. How collaborative is the Canadian education with the Nigerian education and curricular system, particularly for early learners and those in high school? What kind of collaborative engagement are you having?
It's a really good question. Again, I've worked in 12 countries now, setting up and building and school improvements for private schools, all the way from Libya to Asia to Europe, most recently in Dubai. And in all cases, the majority of the private schools don't even come close to the private schools in Canada. And the reason is that it's the quality of the teachers. The teachers really have to be educated. It's beyond just the technology they have. It's their teaching and learning strategies, the 21st century skills. That's what it's all about. You can teach anyone how to use a computer, how to use the technology, but it comes down to the teachers. And collaboration, what takes place in the classroom, that should be the norm. I mean, that's our goal at CBA, Canadian Bridge Academy, is students are working together in groups, they're having conversations, they're having discussions, they're going beyond the limits of the curriculum itself. So that should be the goal, in my opinion.
Well, even if that should be the goal, but let's not forget the fact that most of the out-of-school children are actually found in the rural areas. And Martin, I want to stay with you on this question right now. You've talked about collaboration and how that is critical to ensure that we educate the next generation of Nigeria. So what are you doing using your position there, bringing the British, Canadian type of education that you've spoken about to those in the rural areas who most of them cannot even afford the data or even the phone to even have access to the internet?
Well, number one, you're speaking about collaboration. I was speaking about what's taking place in the classroom. Collaboration is a form of how students learn. And again, it's Canadian curriculum, not UK. Canadian curriculum on par internationally is way ahead of the US and UK. So even, because in Canada, it's not federally run, it's provincially run. And on provincial levels, we beat out Singapore, the UK, Japan, Finland even. So they know what they're doing. So, but as far as technology, or students having access to technology, the reality is here in Nigeria that it's run primarily on a public system, but we are, our only option here, what I'm doing is with public, but this will trickle down. It will trickle down into, hopefully this becomes a model that some parts of other parts of education and the government system will utilize. They have to. I mean, the wealth of a country are its people. And unless the country invests in its people, you have nothing.
Absolutely. I mean, human investment is key and very critical. Very quickly, in Kiru, in Ibadan, what should the various tiers of government be doing to accelerate the e-learning, not necessarily jettisoning the classroom learning environment?
Yeah, thank you very much. When you talk about the different tiers of government, I wanted to understand that education is everybody's business, including you too, including me. It's everybody's business. So if we're going to be looking at just government alone, public funding actually is not just enough for what is on ground. There's a whole lot to address here. If you look at e-learning at primary level, secondary level, okay, let me mention early childhood too. Then at the tertiary level is huge, and everybody has to be involved one way or the other. Okay, so government provides infrastructures, but then who now supports how to train teachers? There's a whole lot of work to be done in teacher development in that area. So it's going to be everybody's business. So right now, I'm sure that what our government is concentrating upon right now is what's the infrastructure. But what about content? What about teachers? How do you prepare even the students to even understand what e-learning is all about? So it's going to be everybody's business, sir. It's not just the government alone. So that's just all I have to say on that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so very much, Nkiru Banjoko. She's an e-learning consultant. And here in the studios, Martin Harry. He's the principal of Canadian Bridge Academy. Thanks for coming on Newsnight.